Okay, everybody, we're here. We're live. One Piece, 11:25. As always, excited to be with the Savage crew to accept a new issue of One Piece right into the vein. I've seen several thumbnails, so I know that this chapter has something to do with Figureland Garling. Or at least the, 5 thumbnails would imply that he's in the chapter. Now, what does that mean? What is it? I don't know. I didn't read the titles, and I don't know what he's doing. I just know that he's in the chapter. But hey, these are the type of chapters that we're here for. Like the ones where we need to go outside and collect ourselves after everything that we just went through. So, let's get some context on the Figureland family, hopefully. Okay. Well, I already see that we don't have a break, which is good. Happy to see that. We're going to get right into things today once I pop out the chat. So I can see you guys as we go along here. Here. Cool. What death means. All right, that's interesting. So, confirmation of Vegapunk's death, or, well, I mean, realistically, they're all alive, right? Ugh. What death means. It's a nothing. It means nothing to Oda. All right, so we've got Yamato walking around, rebuilding of Odin Castle, and Foreman Minatomo's disappearance. So I forget, is the Minatomo from Wano the same one that fixed the door in Fuchsia Village, or did Oda do... I'm feeling like Oda did something where he was like, it's the brother of the guy or something? Because either way, it's so crazy that this character that was just like an Easter egg joke from Oda has evolved into something where now there's a cover story going into the character. Minatomo's the brother. Okay. Yeah. That's what... Allegedly. Alright, so that was page 1. We're going to page 2 now. Oh wait. I was over at Viz, but I can do Manga Plus, and that was more interesting. Yeah, I like this, because I can scroll down. Okay. Get the Seraphim to the ships after they're charged up. As for the Sea Beast weapons and PX3s... Oh, Rob Lucci and Kaku. Alright, so we're continuing the Egghead wrap-up, so that's good. Hopefully we get some context on what happened to Saturn and the robot. And wait, where's Stussy? I killed her. They didn't kill her. That's a bold-faced lie from Rob Lucci right there. That is, I don't believe one second, because Kaku is your man, and he has been sweating Stussy.
You lying? Why you always lying?
So that was a f***ing lie.
I don't believe it. Don't believe it for one second. Moving on. Next page. All right, good. Saturn. We are now in possession of what we came for. Confirmation that they have the Mother Flame. Collected off-screen. York. Punk Records. The power plant. With these three, we gain the Mother Flame. A fire that never goes out. Power of the sun in the palm of my hand. For the present moment, this is acceptable, however. So now we've got all of the vice admirals that definitely failed their jobs, standing in front of a member of the Gorosei, apologizing. We're so sorry, sir. There were 9 of us vice admirals executing a buster call, and yet we still allowed the Straw Hat crew and Jewelry Bonnie to escape the island alive. We will head straight after them to Elbaf. I feel like Saturn's going to call them off, because, I don't know. I am entirely unexcited of the prospect of them going to Elbaf. They did nothing for the Egghead arc, except for, I mean, I guess, you know, Dahl, sure. Doberman, like, I mean, he was part of Innie's lobby and all of that. I really wanted to see more out of him, but nope, he didn't do anything. And then Bluegrass was, you know, kind of did some stuff. The rest of them? Get out of here. It is interesting seeing them all standing next to each other, so you see the sizes. I honestly thought the one with the long hair would have been super tall, because he looked like an ancient Oni. So, next page. Don't bother with Elbaf. Knew it. Yep. Knew it. Because there's no point. I mean, that's just writing. You know, they're saying, hey, we're gonna clean up our mess. No, somebody else needs to do that. If there was any failure here to blame this on, it was the colossal failure to envision Vegapunk's broadcast message. Copy that. And not only did we fail to stop that message, there is the bitter irony that the pirates' escape was aided by none other than that Iron Giant. Ooh, we gained some context on the Giant? And I mean, obviously this was to be expected. But this actually is confirmation here. Because this says about 200 years ago, and there is Saturn looking exactly like Saturn. What is the secret to your youth, my man? I want to know. Yeah. This is fun. This is fun. I actually would have preferred to see a little display of brutality where Saturn just, like, ruthlessly takes out all of these vice admirals for failing him, but yeah, whatever. Let's see here. Okay, so, but Saint Saturn, we've been ordered to dispose of that thing. If anyone finds out, I'll protect you. Research it. That giant represents the future. Will prove very useful to the military one day. Alright, so Saturn's great flaw came back to bite him. Next page. Thank you, my lord. We're endlessly fascinated with it. So we get to see some scientists from 200 years ago. Maybe one of these guys is Willie Gallon. Could you imagine? Physicist Willie Gallon right there. That's my headcanon right now, that one of these guys is Willie Gallon. All right. For 200 years, it never budged an inch until now, when it clearly moved to protect Straw Hat Luffy. Doberman with a, you know, the way Oda drew him looks like he's got this crazy lazy eye, you know, instead of just no eye. Anyway, Doberman is deciding that he wants to remind people that he's in the story. Saint Saturn, I ask you this as a soldier in service to the government. If you consider that a failure, then would that suggest that Vegapunk's statement was true? Oh, hold on, because you're getting into that Nefertari Cobra territory here. You're getting a little too curious. Whew!
Surprise, motherfucker.
It's about to get spicy.
This man thought he was going to make a name for himself. You just remember what happened here today. If he's not dead, which, I mean, that's One Piece, I don't think he's going to be seeing out of his other eye. Wow. I'm just staring at this panel of Doberman going down. I just, it's like, I like this, and I literally just said, like, I don't know, 2 minutes ago that this is exactly what I would have expected and wanted to come out of this, but the funny thing is that it's Doberman, right? And Doberman is the only character out of any of these Vice Admirals that we had any sort of prior attachment to, that 99% of the fan base wouldn't even remember this guy's name, or if I showed them a panel from Any's lobby where it's like, see, this guy was there at that Buster Call, most fans are going to be like, oh, cool. He didn't do anything during Egghead. He didn't step foot on the island. He didn't have an interaction with any of the Straw Hats. So the impact of this would have been better if he tried to do something and failed as well. Instead, he, just commanded the fleet. So there's a lot of shock value for this because I know that this is a legacy character, but I don't know. I'm whatever. I like it. At least we're doing something here. Make the bad guys bad guys. Make them bad. In the arms of the angels, fly away. You better be dead. Okay. Next page. Get the medical team now. Oda can't help himself. He can't stop it. He's got to put that line there, just in case I want to use Doberman again. Just in case I want to. I don't want to completely shut the door. I might need him for later. I'm just going to put him in my back pocket. But maybe we never see him again. Lines like that make me remember the ocean dub of Dragon Ball Z. Nappa, got rid of Tien's arm, and he just says, "You just wait until it grows back." Nappa shoots the news copter. Kills everybody inside. Tien, somebody looks up. I can see their parachutes. Not in the uncut version, you can't. Okay. Alright. Anyway. I'm taking my time with this one today. Inside the lab. Ooh, what's this? Island clouds. Oh no. The island clouds are multiplying. Okay, so it's Egghead creating some sky islands above it that we'll have to traverse. Has the cloud plant gone out of control? Is Edison, he was supposed to be dead in the Fabian phase. Alright, so Edison's still alive. Not for long. Not if York has anything to say about it. Oops. Busted. Alright, next page. York is sniping Edison from far away. Damn it, he tricked me. There goes Punk Records. Okay. Moving on. Sacred. Once again, now going with the Marijoa spelling, which is against what they kind of established. Mary Geoise in the early Reverie stuff. Anyway, what does this mean? Was Vegapunk's story true? Where is Akainu? How will he make good for his failure with Kuma? The world may sink under the sea, but that shouldn't matter to the Holy Land. It's not enough food. I requested beef for dinner, Chef. What is this? What is this fish for? Forgive me, my lord, we've run out. I've never been so humiliated. Goodbye, Chef. We have a serious food shortage. Would you believe that yesterday I was forced to forego one of my meals and a snack? What? It's a prisoner's diet. It's famine. We'll all starve. Put whoever's in charge of food to death. It's mismanagement. If there's no punishment, the lower classes will think that laziness is acceptable. That's all I hear. Yeah. Chamber of Power. What do you think you're doing here, Garling? I am here to talk to you about a certain virus. Alright. This man is dressed like a Gorosei. Well, I'll be acting as Saturn in the meantime while he's vacationing in the New World. Anyway, here on important orders. From who? And that's literally the next line. Like, who could be giving you like, these are the guys. They're the highest authority. This man's strolling in here like, hey, I've got orders for you. Okay. Where is your proper deference, Garling? Know your place. Hmm? Moving to page 10. Vegapunk York is henceforth my direct subordinate, as I assume the role of Godhead of Science and Defense. I said that as a joke. I literally said that as a joke. That he was strolling in there to take Saturn's place. See, now this would have actually been great if Saturn died. This would have been a really fantastic development. Like, so it's like, oh, are they the, the Shirosei, the Yonrosei, and then it's like, no, they're still the Gorosei because we've been introduced to Garling, and then he just gets upgraded to a Gorosei. called manifestation. Well, I guess my power of manifestation is elevated today. I don't know. Let's see. You mean the world would be thrown into chaos on a level we have never seen before. Let us do the utmost to improve it together. My fellow elder... Yo, this man just sat down and was like... Okay, this is big. This is aura. The audacity. The audacity of this man to sit on that floral patterned green couch. Like he is at their level. Some sort of immortal yokai being, whatever. Like as if he did anything that they did at Egghead. This man sits down and he's just like, okay. So what's for lunch? Because I haven't eaten. I know you guys are eating. That's why I'm really here. Okay.
なんというビッグニュース
It's about to get spicy.
And Oda even puts the... He gave Garling an Oda box saying that he is now the godhead of science and defense. So is Saturn just gonna show up and just be like, hey, you're fired? That's the cost of doing business. The entire blame of Egghead and the failure that allowed the Straw Hats and Jewelry Bonnie, Kuma, to escape, that's on you, buddy. So, with that being said, then I would expect Saturn to get back and immediately be murdered by Emu. Which would be a good moment for Emu. So, I don't know. Next page. Future Island Egghead. St. Saturn. Ah, what's the matter, St. Saturn? Wait a second. Is that what's happening? Oh my god!
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
Okay. Okay. Like, comment, subscribe, and feeling vibe. Anyway. I figured, like, he would at least get back to the Holy Land before something like this took place. Look, all I actually wanted out of, you know, like, the end of Egghead and everything was for Saturn to die. I've been saying it for a long time. Shout out to my guy, Mark Creasy, for the super. Said, you got observation, hockey gang. I mean, if I had to think about what type of hockey I had, I mean, like,
You loyal.
that would be the one I'd be training. Very motivated. Remember, for 40 months, like D stream for this week's lotto numbers.
Savage.
Maxo Superton said, insight even Vegapunk couldn't achieve. Appreciate the supers, guys. I mean, I haven't gotten much further, but I'm guessing that this is going to be a permanent thing here, and I'm excited about that prospect. Let's just put it that way. Okay, what is the matter, Saint Saturn? Ah! Get the medical team now. Sorry, they're too busy trying to resuscitate Doberman. Shouldn't have sent them for Doberman. Alright, then we see Doll. Extraordinarily pained by this process. I mean...
You loyal.
People talking about Pack Watch in the chat. I should have hit that button on Doberman. But anyway, this is an emergency. Nothing must happen to the highest authority in the world. Is he sick with something? What do you need, Saint Saturn? Next page.
Savage.
Wow. Oh. It's like all the age is hitting him. He is shriveling up. Tyrannosaur, member for 33 months, said, did you give Otis these notes on set, or... I just know how my man thinks, I guess. Wow. Woo! Emu. In this man's ear before he goes. Saturn. Why did you allow Joy Boy to escape? Mercy, please. I did not know those powers were so nebulous. Okay. See, we needed this. We needed something to elevate Emu. And Emu is now 40,000 feet in the air after this. Next page. Great Emu. We have all these vice admirals that are witnesses to this, which is... I don't know, I feel like that's inappropriate. But... Ooh! To the bone! Okay. You love to see it. I love to see it. So we weren't able to steal the lava phase. Damn it, York blocked us. Our mental waves will reach anywhere, though. York still has access here. I know, but it's better than physically handing it over to her, right? Let's work together to manage this genius brain until the day humanity can wrangle it themselves. That will take 500 years. Did you make the island clouds the floating type? Of course. As far as the world knows, Vegapunk is dead. Now we can tour the globe at our leisure. We don't have funds or materials, so we can't invent or develop anything. Hey, that's what friends are for. Okay, so Punk Records is now a sky island, essentially. But they're going to need some help. So who is going to fly on top of there to give them the resources that they need? Well, that'll be the part of the discussion today for sure. Okay, there. How's that? Oh my god. So we had Edison's head, one of Atlas's arms, a Pythagoras arm, and Shaka's body. You look so goofy. I didn't know you admired my height so much. Okay, stuff it. Make sure you throw out the extra York parts. Good call. Leaves a bad impression. That is a really, disturbing room. All of those body parts of the satellites. Bavaria. Haridas. We've been talking about Haridas because he basically had a mother flame inside of a balloon. This is crazy. Hello, with area. This is Vegapunk. What do you want? I thought you were dead. Great development. Next page. Kamabaka Queendom. Oh no, what's gonna happen? Are we gonna die? But I don't wanna. I choose life. I'll swim to live. So basically, in the history no one knows about, there was a... Oh great, so we're gonna summarize everything Vegapunk said. There was a massive war during the Void Century, and the use of ancient weapons during that war caused the world to sink 200 meters into the sea. Sounds like that's all Vegapunk needed to say. Whoever manages to seize the One Piece and become king of the pirates will have that power at their command once more. We can't sit around waiting for that to happen. What does Dragon have to say about all this? Dot dot. A world sinking into the sea. Sabo, and when you consider that the celestial dragons live at the world's highest elevation on the Red Line, Tequila Wolf, Vodka Wolf, Rum Wolf, Bourbon Wolf, all those mega structures. So we have Vodka Kingdom and Vodka Wolf. Whatever. We get introduced to two characters named Tama, one chapter after another. I think there's 3 Kakus in the story. 2 suitors. Anyway, all of those mega structures that they have had slaves constructing going 700 years back. All these things hold new meaning. He just had to go and say it. Oh no. Problem, Vegapunk, is that not everybody who believes your warning is going to prepare for this looming disaster peacefully. Dragon's saying something that's not ... This demands a swift resolution, because it won't be long before the people of the world begin to fight over safe ground. That's the chapter. Yeah, the way Garling just strolled in He just strolled right in. Wow. Gorosei member is really dead, and then immediately replaced in the same chapter.
Savage.
All right, people. This chapter's crazy. This chapter's crazy. And there's only ever going to be one blade, though. Shout out to Brandon, super chatted, said the Vice Admirals heard Saturn say emu. Wonder what that'll lead to. Probably nothing. Also, it's crazy how Saturn just got Indiana Jones and the Lost Ark. Oda didn't hold back. Yeah, that's a good comparison, actually. And probably a very real connection. Shout out to the 400 people in here. Make sure you hit that like. Only a fourth of everybody in here has pretty much hit that button. If you liked me spoiling the chapter for myself as I was reading it, hit that like button. Sacker said, page 10 looks like Emu used the summoning circle.
You loyal.
I mean, I would imagine so, but I think that there's, like a deeper connection between the characters. I feel like they're, heavily connected to Emu in some way, so I don't think it strained Emu much to do this. And yeah, I mean, everything looks like there is like a circle underneath Saturn, and that's part of what's helping what's going on. I figured that was the panel you're referring to.
Savage.
Shout out to Alejandro Salas for the super, appreciate it. No one dies in One Piece. Funny they made a fusion of Vegapunks, but not just 4 new bodies. Yeah, they did a little bit of extreme docking, basically. Doberman will start a civil war in the Marines. I mean, if you're gonna keep him alive, then you better do something like that. But at the same time, it's like I don't need Doberman to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need Smoker to do that. I need Kobe to do that. I need Fujitora to do that. I didn't even necessarily need Kizaru to do it, but Kizaru was, having his own existential crisis during Egghead. I need the characters that have already been set up to do it. I don't need, at the end game of the story, like, hey, this guy that was introduced in chapter 420 to come over here, and now he's gonna overturn the government, and then, by the way, like, we're gonna completely sideline Smoker and these other characters that actually had an arc to get to the point where, and I don't mean like a story arc, I mean like an actual like character arc to get to the point where that would happen. Now, if Doberman was a part of an uprising in the Civil War because, he's questioning government, like, I like the elements of having more and more characters in the Marines question the government, because that's what the story's always been leading to. But for Doberman to like lead the charge specifically, I would be disappointed in that. I would rather him be like a background guy in that charge. Ace2532, member for 25 months, said, do we think Garling will get Saturn's form or something new? I think something new would be preferable. Well, it's also, a question of, does Garling have a power to begin with. I think it would be very interesting if he didn't have a devil fruit at all. He's just Hockey Man. But we'll have to wait and see. It also depends on, you know, like if they're all some sort of like entity or satellite of Emu, then, you know, maybe it's a thing like those are the powers that Emu dishes out, in which case then, yeah, Garling would turn into the
Savage.
Yuki. But I don't know, that would be kind of crazy. I want to see something different. I think that Oda is creative enough to find something a little crazier for Garling. But we've also talked about this from the perspective of Devon being able to turn into Saturn, right? And like what that would mean if Saturn died. We've talked about that before, and I think now that question is even more pressing because whatever plan that Blackbeard has, like if they go to the Holy Land and Devon starts like walking around as Saturn, like they don't know Saturn's dead. That's going to put a big wrench, because the moment somebody that does know Saturn is dead sees Saturn and be like, hold on. You're going to see Devon get the life sucked out of her like, you know, this version of Saturn did. And this also begs the question, considering that we've seen that Garling has a sword. Who's the better swordsman? Ethan Barron? Garling? Who's Zoro fighting now? Things might change. You know, does Brooke fight Ethan Barron now? Then Zoro fights Shanks' dad? I don't know. I feel like it's been set up for so long that Ethan Barron would be Zoro's opponent, but the sheer audacity and aura of Garling is really insane. Code 1XZ Superden said, people assuming Garling will have a wolf demon yokai. If Garling is a wolf, then Shanks and his twin are Romulus and Remus. The twin is the new leader of the God's Knights. I really don't want the twin idea to be true. I don't want that. I mean, I gotta see how Oda goes about it, but I don't want that. But considering that he just got upgraded to Gorosei, someone's gotta lead the Holy Knights. So maybe it does have more legs. It's cheap, but somebody's gotta do it. Blazer said because of the moon on his hair, for sure turns into a lichen. Yeah, I mean, a wolf would be pretty interesting, in which case, then I would say that Garling is becomes Sanji's opponent, based on Jabra and all of that, or becomes Usopp's opponent. Like, how crazy would that be, right? Yeah. The boy who cried wolf, his final opponent is a giant wolf. Then you get this guy with all of this aura getting beaten by Usopp. Shanks' dad gets beat by the son of one of his son's best friends. Usopp would need the craziest glow up for that to even seem feasible, but I mean, I like the thematics of it.
You loyal.
Let's see. Catching up here. Mihawk or Shanks versus Garling. See, like that's actually something that would be interesting to me. Is I like when there's some shakeups in the battle. Like realistically, I go back to this a lot, but one of my favorite panels in the entire series is like the end of Enel's game panel, where it's like Enel, and then you see Robin, Zoro, Wiper, and Gan fall, right? So Luffy's not there. None of the other members of the crew are there. But it works. You know, it's like it's a situation where you have a threat and you have a bunch of fights that you have to do, but you don't necessarily have the expected people there, you know? So it's like when we were talking about the 9 shadows theories and all that stuff during Wano, which you know, people are like, well, are the Straw Hats the 9 shadows? And then they're all going to be like standing in front of Kaido. And like, that never seemed really interesting to me. It elevates our team members and all of that. And it's like, you know, it's good growth for them and would have made great paneling. But the more interesting thing is to like fill it out with crazier options. You know, so it's like, if I had to pick 9 random people to stand in front of Kaido or something, like I was throwing things out where it's like, okay, yeah, you know, you probably have Luffy there. You throw a Scabbard in there, you know, maybe Denjiro's there. You need someone random. You need like an Usopp there. You know, maybe someone like Zoro isn't there. And then you have Izo, and, you know, it's like, you have to put random characters into the mix that you don't expect. So when it's up to a fight against the 5 Gorosei, I don't want it to be Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, Jinbei, and Robin, you know, like something like that. Like, I would actually prefer if it was something more eclectic, where it is actually like it's Luffy, Zoro, Mihawk, Shanks, Sanji, I don't know, or, you know, throw Crocodile into the mix. Please. No, it's like I just want something random. I want like a character that like I wouldn't expect to be at the final fight to be there. And then our core cast will ultimately get something to do as well. You got to switch it up. So the idea of like Shanks or Mihawk actually like playing a role in the end here and fighting Garling is not entirely a bad idea. And I don't necessarily know if it even needs to be them. It could be something else, like maybe a Marine goes up against him, right? Like, what if it's Smoker versus Garling? You know, I don't know, but it's Fujitora versus Garling. Like, that would be something, you know, that would be crazy. Chin, member for 36 months. Member chatted, said, I called it, Randy. Saturn will die at the end of Egghead. Well, we both talked about it, but get your dub.
Another one. Another one.
From like a story perspective, a thematic thing, like we did talk about how the best case scenario would be Saturn dies. Because it's like you're taking this guy out of his house, out of his mansion, sending him over to this place. There's a major incident that's supposed to happen, even though I don't think that the death of Saturn will be public, but maybe it will be. And in order to move the plot forward, you need a catalyst. Saturn dying is the easiest way to move the story. Look what just happened. Look at what we're seeing here. We get a 10 out of 10 chapter because of this. And it's not that characters need to die all the time in order to get a 10 out of 10 chapter, but it is the purest catalyst. You know, you can't abuse death. Like, you know, it's not going to always work if you're constantly killing characters. But it's also not going to be effective if you keep bringing characters back to life every time you kill them. But in this particular instance, this is very effective. Because we also know that this one's going to stick. AJ1218, member for 40 months. Appreciate you, my guy, said, Zoro fights 3 swordsmen at once for each sword. 1 for each sword, yeah. So Mihawk gets the Watto. And Garling's getting Enma, and then Katetsu's going for Ethan Baron. Brandon said, if you go look at Garling when he sat down facing the front, Oda made his design resemble a star now. 5 Elder Stars, yeah. Also interesting that Oda introed Garling in the Gorosei name chapter, and he is one now. Oh, that's a fun, that's a fun connection. Yeah, when you see him from the front, it does look like a star. But when you're still seeing him from the side, it's still a moon. It's just great visual imagery. Man. Oda's crazy for this one. Emil said Dragon should fight one. Yeah, Dragon should be involved in something like that. He hasn't done anything, you know? Let's see. I would still consider this an Egghead chapter. Until we like see an island for Elbaf or something like that. I you know, this is just post Egghead, you know, pre whatever we're going, pre Elbaf, if that's, you know, where we're actually going. Should be, but you know, it's not like Oda hasn't taken a detour before, but I don't expect one. Elbaf is not next chapter, Joe D. List. I do not expect to see Elbaf in the next chapter. I expect to go to a different faction. If there is a chance that we're going to get a newspaper that says that Saturn died, you know, it depends on how much the public knows about the 5 Elders. Then, you know, that would be a prime time for that. I think either way, I think a newspaper needs to go out in the next chapter, and we need to do a little more decks of the world. We need to see what the Cross Guild's up to. We need to see what other factions are up to, and then, I think like 1128 would be like the earliest we could have them getting to Elbaf. We also need to feel like they're traveling. There's got to be a journey. Normally we always get 3 to 4 chapters after a sizable arc to kind of acclimate to what's been going on. Jody Liz said, "You want to put some money on it, Randy? Look at this incredible pacing." I don't know if you were here for the read through, but I don't know if you'd want to bet against me. Not today.
Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself, yeah.
I'll be right back, guys. Cheer peace, and then we'll continue the discussion. Right. Let's see. Look, they could get to Elbaf in the next chapter, but like I said before, if they do get to Elbaf in the next chapter, then we're going to do the thing like we did at the beginning of Egghead, where we're constantly splitting the chapters and going other places while also exploring Elbaf. Like when we first got to Egghead, and then the rest of the chapter, half the chapter was at Winter Island or something like that. Like there's a possibility that Oda does that. But there's a lot of things that need to get set up for the end game of everything also. So I would personally prefer to have, I would love 10 chapters where we're not even really with the Strats, or they're just sailing and and everything, and we're catching up on everything that we need to set up for the end. Because there's too much stuff in the air. Like, we've got to catch up with Hachinosu, we got to catch up with the Cross Guild, we have to see what Akainu is doing. I feel like there needs to be a little bit of an aftermath conversation about what's going on with the Gorosei here a little bit.
You loyal.
Maybe we could save that. What is Sword planning to do? I don't know if we'll get any other context on what's going on with Area for a while, but that's sort of one of those things that's just kind of going to be in the background, and then as a Deus Ex Machina, we're going to have that sail over Elbaf or something and save us in some sort of crazy way, or be there for the final war. I don't know. It's just crazy. There's a floating brain and just a hard drive in the sky. Lydia Raven, member for 13 months. Said last Stussy mentioned for a while, so I got to get my theory out. I think Stussy is Vegapunk's attempt at recreating the Gorosei / Emu's power, and isn't a devil fruit user or using green blood. So you think like the vampire powers is not a devil fruit, but something different? Well, I mean, the difference between, I believe, Stussy and, like, the Seraphim is that the Seraphim are, like, organic cyborgs that have been augmented. Whereas I believe that Stussy is actually a fully organic being. So I think that she was, with that, capable of actually ingesting a real devil fruit. Like, I don't think if someone cut off Stussy's arm or something, we would see cybernetic parts. I think just like the clones at, that Germa 66 had, they were fully organic. They're not, lineage factors and things have been tampered with, sure. But she's a imperfect, but probably perfect clone of Bakin. And then it wasn't necessarily until he started messing around with Kuma, he started augmenting, like, doing cybernetic parts, and then from the trials that he had done with Kuma, that's what gave him the idea for the Seraphim, because the Seraphim were shooting lasers and things like the Pacifistas. So, but Stussy doesn't do that. So it's like, it's kind of this, like, evolution of ideas where it's like, okay, Vegapunk played God, made a human. Then it's like, what can I do to make something better than a human? Kuma's the step to get there. The Seraphim are the realization of that. Will Dream said, so Stussy's a T2 series Terminator then. No, not necessarily. I would say that the Seraphim are the Terminators. Well, I mean, realistically, the Pacifistas, right? So it's like, you have Kuma, who is the Arnold Schwarzenegger stand-in to begin with anyway. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, that's, the Pacifistas are Terminators. That's Oda, like, taking into account, like, his love for Terminator. So the Pacifistas are like the Model 101s. Those are the Terminator 1, Terminator 2 Terminators, like the Arnold Schwarzenegger versions of Terminator. Then the Mark 3s, that's kind of like upgrading that. So now we're getting into, like, upgraded models. Instead of 101, these are like 850s or something, 800 series, whatever. And there's no real T1000 or anything like that. So, but the Seraphim are, that's kind of that. They're the prototype. They're the upgrade of that. Whereas Stussy isn't even a Terminator at all, because I don't think she's a robot. She's literally a clone. So it's just a fabricated, built organism. Like when they cloned the sheep in the 90s, early 2000s, whatever it was. That Garling really did pull up like, I'm something of a scientist myself. That's true, Brandon. And he definitely made a name for himself in this chapter. Woo! You just remember what happened here today.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yep, Dolly the sheep. See that now, Blizzard is talking, like, it would be interesting to know if Bakin actually has a devil fruit, and if that devil fruit is what Stussy has, right? I mean, I think it would be really crazy and ridiculous to see that small old woman turn into a vampire. I have not heard Emu's voice yet. I have not watched the episode. That is something that I do want to do. Leonard Martin said, Randy Buggy's Vivre Card said that Oda wanted to put more characters in the Cross Guild, like Perona, and that may happen in the future. Well, I've already said that Perona will join. It only makes sense. Go back to the person that you think is going to protect you, which is Mihawk. But that's that's like a weird thing to put it to the Vivre Card, though. And I saw this stuff about Cyan, Queen potentially being Franky's father, and that, like, really just, like, you know, just reading a tweet of that, you know, it was shared in the Discord. And I was just like, what are we doing here? And why didn't we, like, explore this during the arc? It's insane. It's insane. Like, I'm not a fan of getting major information like that just offhand in a little book. Did I see the volume 39 and 93 comparison? I did. Yeah. I mean, it's very convincing, and I honestly, like, I don't hate it. Like, I like it, and I think I remember there being early conversations about it, because it's like the way we were introduced to Queen in the first place was very reminiscent of the way we were introduced to Franky, like up on top of the, you know, thing at the pier, like doing his dance with Kiwi and Maz. Like, it makes perfect sense. Like, their energy and everything is just so. If Oda sat there and said directly, like, yeah, Queen's Franky's dad, I'm like, of course he is, you know. But it's the fact that you don't explore that, and I get that, you know, obviously he's not going by Cutty Flam, right? So why would Cyan even put that together? And Queen obviously isn't going by Cyan, but I don't know if someone went through Wano to see if there was ever an instance where they were in the same room or not. But it also, it makes me, like, double down on things where, like, Sanji was fighting Queen, and Queen was talking about, ooh, rechargeable laser. Wow, Franky would really love that. And then it's just like another missed opportunity for, like, I one of my things during Wano was I wanted Franky to stumble onto Queen's blueprints so that he could start upgrading himself off screen. And then if he did that, and then later found out, like, oh wait, these are my dad's blueprints, like, that would, then it would be like, do I want to use this? Like, it kind of gives him the same sort of struggle that Sanji's going through. And it also would have deepened, like, conversations between Franky and Sanji, because now they have, like, this strange brotherhood. And they were so, like, locked almost arm in arm throughout the end of Egghead, going up against Saturn and all this other stuff. Like, there was a lot of, like, focalization on Sanji and Franky being together during Egghead, and it's like that would have been made even better if they actually had a conversation about this stuff, because it's like you're dealing with Vegapunk, who was the guy that, like, brought these people together, and here you could actually address the judge and scion of it all. And Oda decided to, skip that and not actually develop the characters. And it's also really funny because this is something that was brought up in the Theory for Theory that I just did with Alexander, AJ, where we talked for like 10 minutes about Franky and how Franky was AJ's, like, I don't know if he directly said least favorite Straw Hat, but definitely, like, the one that he feels is the least developed. And I said, and this is, like, probably just a couple of days before that Vivre Card even comes out and is on the internet, where it's like, I mean, it could have been a situation where we, found Franky's, parents that abandoned him, and then, like, we kind of give him this sort of internal struggle to kind of, like, go through. And, not that everybody needs to find their famous parents, but in this Chosen One story that we're in, it's very likely that most people on the crew have some sort of crazy lineage, particularly Nami as well. Nami, we don't know who her parents were, but they had to have been sensitive to the weather and, had something to do with the past as well. We know that the famous theory that Usopp's, Mont Blanc descent, and I want that to happen. Very motivated. Thanks for super set. It upsets me that we can allude to Queen being Franky's dad, but nothing about Sasuke and Kokoro during his fight with Franky. Exactly. And, like, that was another thing that I was, if I continued to ramble, I would have brought that up. Because it's like, that was something that seemed really obvious as well. The hat, placement, everything. It's like, dude, you're Chimney's dad. Clearly you're Chimney's dad. And Kokoro's son. And it's like, there could have been so much development for Franky just knowing these two things. It's just like, okay, because it's like you could have created this sort of triangle element where Franky is now dealing with the fact that, like, his dad abandoned him to, do some work for Vegapunk, and then ditches Vegapunk to go work for this guy who's now, like, terrorizing these people, and he's, like, an awful person, right? And then also working for him is the son of the person who raised him in place of the father that abandoned him. And now this guy is an underling for that guy. And it's like all of these crazy connections that make the world feel smaller. And maybe that's why Oda doesn't want to do it, because he wants the world to seem so expansive. And it's just like, not everybody needs to be connected to everybody. But it's like, those connections are what make the characters human. So it's like, if Franky had that conversation with Sasuke, like, hey, your daughter's growing up without a dad. Like, what's the deal? And I mean, you could have the same conversation with, Yasopp years ago, and, so many characters, so many One Piece characters. But it just would have made the fight more powerful if it was about something beyond, obviously they're trying to save Wano, but if you can add a personal element to it, it's just one of these, like, little things. It's a little thing. It's very little, Doesn't need a full chapter. Just needs a couple of lines of dialogue. I don't know. Was there anything else that was interesting in the Vivre cards? Because, I mean, it really seemed like the conversations were all taken over by the Queen being Franky's dad thing. But it's like, you know, with that also, it makes me wonder if Queen does eventually come back now that Mads is reformed, right? Oh, wait. Duh. Maybe that's what ends up happening. Judge and Caesar go to Punk Records. That's why we had the Mads cover story, because they're going to find Punk Records and do something that's, I guess, going to save the world. They weren't so bad after all. That seems natural. Crocodile's a confirmed hockey user. We know this. We already knew this. It's nice to have it confirmed, but, you know, that's my goat.
久しぶりだな。
Jacob said the Mihawk Conquerors thing is another issue with the cards. We know certain characters have it, and the cards have to exclude it to not spoil, and then it just feels nonsense agenda. I mean, it would be interesting if Mihawk didn't have it, you know, because it's like he had enough ambition to become the world's greatest swordsman, but then he has sort of a lack of ambition now. Like, he's not after anything. I did see that Trooper Scarfino confirmed dead. R.I.P. to the GOAT. Yep. I still hate the idea that he took the photo. How? Like, what are you doing? He's just sitting there like, ugh, but I gotta get the photo. Ugh. It doesn't make any sense. Especially considering that, like, Joseph, aka Schoolboy Collins, he had the view. He was down below. He had the angle. Whatever. I'm not gonna. But, you know, it retroactively makes Kaido better knowing that he actually did kill somebody. This character that was touted as a murderer. We were warned about how much murdering Kaido has done, but then didn't murder anybody in the present, including Kinemon. But he did. He beat Guernica. Trooper Scarfino. Desdar finds it funny that Garling is basically the moon of the celestial bodies represented by the elders now. But as it was brought up earlier, when you see Garling from the front, his moon looks like a star. So he's kind of blending between both of them. Emil said that photo will be his legacy, I guess. I also found it interesting, because people were sending it to me, that Oda romanized Guernica's name with a K, so that his name is really like Gear Nika, Nika. So the man brought Nika back, and Nika isn't his name, and the first part kind of sounds like Gear, also. Gear Nika, and basically brings Gear 5 to the world. That's his legacy. But it's just weird. It's weird to do that. I don't know. Definitely pour one out. He went out like a champ. Stood on business. We know this. Ugh. Don't have the dripper emoji anymore. They don't have enough slots. But this is where I would ask for the drippers. So let's just do this instead. The God Maker is dead, yep. But those are some really, I mean, even if that's all the stuff, the notable stuff to talk about with the Vivre cards, that's great. That's great. What else? What are some of the fun things that have been coming out from this chapter, though? Just to sort of reframe the discussion. I also want to check out the episode. I find it very interesting that Lucci would actually try and defend Stussy like that. Like, after everything that they went through, Lucci would just let her go. Strange. He's definitely doing it for Kaku, because Kaku's sweet on her.
Savage.
The audacity of this man. I'm just going through the chapter again. Garling just strolling in. Strolling in. Let us do the utmost to improve it together, my fellow elders. Wow. Whew. We're gonna see him animated soon. That's gonna be crazy. This chapter's insane. I'm not really a fan of this abomination that Edison turned himself into, though. And I think it's mostly the Atlas arm that really bothers me. And it does bother me. I don't know. It's just... Elekid evolved into... whatever this is. And then the scene at the end with, like, Dragon, I don't know, it just feels like filler. It's just, they literally, Oda took the time to recap the message. Okay. Well, I guess we got the lore about that there's other things aside from Tequila Wolf. Vodka Wolf, Rum Wolf, Bourbon Wolf. And his Toriyama naming schemes here. Shout out to Lydia Raven with the super appreciated said, Health Inspector just showed up at work. Gotta run. We'll finish the VOD later. Love the stream as always. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Lydia. And hope the Health Inspector gives you flying colors. Let's see. Invader DJ that said that people are talking about how definitely the confirmation that the elders have immortality and the implication that Emu can bestow it to people and take it away. Yeah, that is a good way of looking at it, you know. If that's the, you know, exactly the case, that you can bestow the immortality and take it away. Some sort of pact with the demon. It's crazy. And it, I mean, it really does imply that there is some sort of like magic in the world, but I don't know. I don't know.
You loyal.
Brandon said people in Dax chat were speculating that Garling could get the Fenrir power. Yeah, I know what the Fenrir is. I mean, I am expecting a Fenrir to appear, of course, naturally, with everything that should be going on in Elbaf. But I think that it's got to actually... If we see that Garling, like, goes to Elbaf or something like that, then... yeah. Because if he turns into a giant wolf, like, whether they call it Fenrir or not, like, it's going to be, like, an interpretation of it. Point blank period. It's just... that's what it is. But that's interesting. Because we did talk about a wolf, and it's like, well, we're getting into Norse mythology, so it could actually be that. Shio said, now that's cloud storage. Yeah. It's really in the cloud now. That's funny. Oda knows that he's making that joke. He's got all of that information in the cloud. Wow. I don't know much about the Kasura Otoko, a moon man yokai who can kill people who look at him like Saturn. I mean, we have the Bakotso, so it's already kind of like a weird one. Emil, member for 39 months, said, is the bridge that Odin saw one of these new wolves? Yeah. Everybody said that he saw it to kill a wolf, but that part of it always didn't make sense to me because they were in the Grand Line, and to kill a wolf is in the East Blue, I think. So they would have had to leave the Grand Line to see To Kill a Wolf. So it always kind of implied that there were more bridges. So they definitely just saw one that was in the Grand Line. That Saturn has a human skeleton. Yeah, so I mean that kind of takes away the, the idea that they were actual yokai. So it means that he was really a human. Now that doesn't mean that he couldn't have been transformed into a yokai without a devil fruit, because I do think that could actually still be possible. But the idea that the elders were at one time born babies and then lived a life and then turned into this, it'll be kind of crazy when we eventually see like the younger versions of the Gorosei before they stopped aging at that particular point. And I'm sure Oda will do something where like they were all like really bright-eyed and like wanted to save the world or something, but got twisted and fell into the emu trap and couldn't get out. Mr. Nine said, hearing Dragon say he's going to do something, it's like hearing your landlord say he's going to do something. Yeah, I've had those landlords. I feel that. Moria revived Saturn, said Kip. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I don't think there's anything to collect there. Jin said there's an irony to Saturn keeping Emmett from being scrapped, only for him to become the cause of his death 200 years later. A contributing factor for sure. And it's always good to have a villain kind of set up their own downfall. My critique with that is that we should have gotten that flashback before it happened. Like before the interaction with the Iron Giant at all, which would have spoiled us that they're all immortal. But I don't think that that's the it's just, it comes across as like lazy, unfortunately. But it's like hidden and wrapped in a perfect blend of like yeah, I'm making this up right now, but I'm also giving you this, this sweet, scrumptious crumb that, yes, the confirmation is true, that they were around 200 years ago. But it's like, we would have been able to kind of theorize for a while and, wonder if the Iron, what the Iron Giant connection would be. And it's one of those things that just works better on a reread rather than, like, getting that irony, like, immediately. Like, I don't need to analyze it in the same chapter. I want to go back. I want to deep dive. I want to remember that there was this moment here that was kind of setting up this and foreshadowing it. Feral Anarchy said, Brago brought up the Wolf Shanks versus Vampire Mihawk comparison. Interesting. Four Loco Bridge. Four Loco Wolf. Cognac Wolf. $40-ounce wolf. Anaconda malt liquor wolf. Hennessy wolf. Yeah. Mr. Nine says I should entertain the thought that Garling is being genuine when he says he wants to make the world a better place. Yeah, he wants to make the world a better place in the same way that like Donald Trump and the people that are bankrolling him want to make America a better place. Yeah, I'm not entertaining that idea. That is not the type of thing that is going to make anyone happy. Do I think there's a connection between San Juan Wolf and the Four Wolves? I mean, I think there's a funny pun there that Oda could explore, but probably not. Tomato thinks that my shirt reminds him of Sanji's egghead fit. No. You'll notice that there's no hood on the shirt. This shirt is the way a shirt should be. The collar. Buttons. There's no hood on the button down. Put a hood on a zip up. You don't put it on a button down. But it's a funny thing, because it's like you see some movies like Fifth Element and anything that like kind of like goes into like the wackiness of the future, and like you try and design things, you end up taking clothes and kind of putting it together and saying this is where fashion's gonna go. Certainly hope not. Joseph Joestar said, Randy, what do you think of Egghead? How does it rank among your favorite arcs? Well, let's see how much more wrap-up we get. I think Egghead's got some of the highest highs of the story, and most of those are the things that happen outside of Egghead. The stuff that happens on the actual island, some of it's great. I mean, the Kuma backstory, obviously amazing, but like it's the stuff on Egghead I have some issues with. Everything that isn't Egghead, so Hachinosu, Holy Land, the Kuma backstory, like these are like the highest peaks of the story. And then everything that happens on Egghead, a lot of withholding, a lot of some of the issues that kind of plagued the end of Wano, where it's like Oda doesn't want to give away too much, so kind of dancing that line. You know, I'm still kind of iffy on Vegapunk's message, so, and I don't think that some of the promises of like exploring some real like major sci-fi tropes that were started at the beginning of the arc with like holograms and the photon stuff and being able to attack light, none of that stuff actually manifested into anything, and they were really great ideas. You know, there's things like, you know, early theories in the arc where it's like, oh, maybe someone will use something like this to fight Kizaru. That never happened. So there's a lot of like dropped story things that could have been fun. The skipping over everybody fighting the Seraphim, I'll never like that. And the, you know, still don't know what happened to Robin. Still don't know. And then not the biggest fan of Luffy and Zoro teaming up with Luffy and Kaku. Like, I loved it in Impel Down, where we had everybody, like, you know, coming together and working with the villains. But I don't know, something about them being side by side with Lucci and Kaku just felt like fan service more than like really serving the plot in the way that Impel Down did. So I need some time for Egghead, and I want to like let the anime finish and then kind of go back to it and watch the anime and see how the anime like kind of changes everything, because I'd say that Egghead is definitely like top 15 and may like get to like the bottom of the top 10 for me. And then as it ages, maybe it'll sort of go up. Everything that's not, like I said, not on the island itself is like, you know, like top 3, top 5, like that stuff is great. Like that's like Reverie level stuff. But it's like I almost separate it in my mind from like the Egghead arc. So I did not hear the science news, Brandon. Brandon King said, apparently, at least temporarily, Saturn's rings were announced to disappear or become invisible temporarily around the time the Saturn spoilers came out. The Oda irony. Wow. What I'll say now is that like Egghead was fun. It was a lot of fun, but it's not one of Oda's like masterpiece arcs yet. And a lot of arcs become better in hindsight after we get a little more information and like kind of fill the gaps. So we just have to see what elements come from certain things that were set up, which can retroactively make things in the arc better. That's how One Piece is. Like, you can't judge an arc immediately after it, because he always sets things up to get answered later. But I like it better than Wano. Let's see. We have not talked about the latest One Piece episode yet, because I have yet to watch it, but I think that that's where we can move the stream, and then we'll wrap things up. Time. Dash had thoughts on the new Terminator anime. Combines two things you like, and I've heard good things. I think it's worth a watch. It is interesting, but it does not involve the Connors at all, and I think that they're, the presence, it's trying to stand on its own with something completely new and different, and there's a part of me that respects that, but then there's also, an element of the lore that I feel still needs the Connor element. So it's like that, it's missing that. So I think it tries so hard to be its own thing that it forgets the legacy of what brought it there. And I don't think it needed to be a 8-episode show. I think it could have just been a movie, because it's like I had a lot of fun watching it, but most of the fun was like the last 2 episodes where it's like, it finally kind of like gets to the point with everything and shows the stuff that as a Terminator fan I want to see. Give me a moment to set some things up here, guys. Okay. Let me get this episode going. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we are watching the latest episode, going back into Oda's generational run here. Terminator 2 is not a near perfect movie, Chin. It is a... let's not kid ourselves here. Zigzag said, you make it sound like nostalgia reboots and continuations to repeat what's come before. What about expansion or new ideas? I just saw Beetlejuice, and I think it's excellent. I think it's one of the best sequels maybe ever. And it does new things while still, like, keeping, you know, true to the legacy of everything. And that's the important part. It's like the Terminator movies, like, that weren't done by Cameron, forgot that, you know, it's not just an Arnold vehicle. It's a Linda Hamilton vehicle. It's about Sarah Connor. But it's also like these, you know, personal stories. And I like what new things were going on in that show, but I think you still have to honor, you know, what's come before. Like, I don't want a complete remake. I don't want The Force Awakens. I don't want beat for beat everything that's come before. I want new ideas, but I don't want you to forget completely about the other stuff. It's a balance. There's just such a balance. Okay, we got a little bit of Sabo filler here. I like it though. Odo, like, really kind of, like, sped through the action of 1083 anyway, so if we kind of expand on that and some of the stuff with Karasu and Morley, then I'm in. What? What just happened? They made that look like he had Karasu's power. Karasu's ability is, like, so broken, though. One thing that always kind of irked me about all of this was how Bonnie was there to save Kuma, and then once she sees Sabo, it's just like, I'll leave it to you. Careful there, Sabo. It is when we started watching the episode. She's concerned about a revolutionary being kind to her? Knowing things about her father? Like, why is that weird to her? Who's that guy next to Chaka? Looks like Cobra got a new guard. Romulus was pretty good, but it suffers from the Force Awakens problem. Just like hitting the beats of everything that came before it. Like, and the only thing that worked were the new parts. It's like you have to honor the things without hitting the beats. Beetlejuice is something that it just is new, but in the realm of everything, it's nothing that was really done, entirely in the first one. So that's what makes it fun. Alright, here we go. 6 old men in a room. Hey. So this is actually 1084. I thought I was watching 1083. I guess I missed last week's episode. This is what I really want to see anyway. The next episode, though. Woo! Time for that jar of greed. That's wild. This filler of Shirahoshi being happy with Charles. This is all happening while the kings are in the meeting. Because these are just like the sons and the guards. I never realized that. And that's what makes this even more diabolical. That he like waited for Neptune to not be around. Because that's Ferrari's son. This guy thinks he's Mr. Five. Making these boys look like they're really important to the story. I really want to see what Sai and Leo's bounties are now. Alright. Let's go, let's go. Do it. I want you to do it. There we go. This 5-minute scene is going to be 30 seconds on One Piece, and it's going to be way better without all of the like padding. I mean, I hope Charlos is dead. I hope. He's probably not, though. Gotcha. Why'd they animate it like that? That's how they animated the Kuma. Why do people... What do you mean, Muglaton? What do you mean that people don't like One Piece? It's the best version we've got. Oh my god. The padding here. Wow. Just going back and forth. It's like that meme with the guy like challenging Diddy on The Voice or whatever it was. Here we go.
It's about to get spicy. Beauty. Okay, so there's like a vocal effect on the character. That works. With as like dark and mysterious as they are, like I kind of like that. It almost makes them seem otherworldly. I'm into it. This episode's gonna lose like 6 minutes from it at least when One Piece is done with it, and it's going to be so much better. I kind of regret not watching the One Piece version of this because this was unreasonably padded out. But like I just hope that the next episode, which is one of my favorite chapters, which should be covering one of my favorite chapters of all time, is insane. Like, I hope that they, like, save the budget on this one to put the budget into the next episode. Did they really list Emu's voice actor as 3 question marks in the in the credits? If they did that, then I would almost expect one of the Straw Hats to be voicing it, like if it was like Mayumi Tanaka doing it, and then they just distort it so that it's like, that's almost a clue in itself. Here we go. 1085. This was a phenomenal chapter. Happy to have shared it with everybody. We had some great things happen here. It was a really funny read through. One of the funniest, I think. And the episode was okay. Hoping next week is better. Probably watch the next episode like around when it airs, which would be like Saturday night for me, just because I love that chapter, so I want to see it sooner. And I would go into the chapter and do it this way. And that's that. So if you enjoyed the stream, make sure you like it. Leave a comment so other people see it and feel inclined to want to watch it. And then still working on a LBAF predictions video. I think it's going to be, I don't know, it might be pretty long. And I haven't shot it yet. I'm still like researching and writing it because I'm like diving into Norse mythology to kind of put it all together. And then try and get an analysis out for this one if I can. And that'll be that. And thanks again, everybody. Appreciate you guys. And I'll catch you next Saturday night for the next episode watch of one of my favorite chapters, and for 11:26 next Sunday morning, or whatever time it is for you, but that's what it is for me. Shout out to you guys. Bye.
I've been swimming deep, deep Savage.